Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, recording. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome into the Kade Cunningham Up in the Rafters podcast, your home for college basketball from Cali to Syracuse, all in between. We got you covered. I'm your host, Anthony Scott. Joined alongside me, as always, is Lucas, Silberman, and Andrew, Papi, Carey. It was great to see you guys last weekend. You guys made the trip up to Syracuse from the tri-state area, and it was good to see you guys actually in person instead of just over the podcast weekly.
Definitely had to come up to good old Syracuse for the weekend. It was a great time. A couple of couch hopping a little bit, always a good time, And then, Tully's, can't beat Tully's when you're watching Syracuse basketball. And then just having a good time with the boys.
Definitely.
No doubt about it. It was good to be home. I was there pretty recently, but yeah, always good to stop through in Cuse and see. I saw Lucas for the first time in a minute, obviously too.
I know it had been a while. Actually, you came to New York City a few months
True.
ago. So
Been popping in and out of the scene.
Yeah.
It would have been better if Cuse could have got a win when you were in town, Lucas. But as soon as you left town, they started getting hot.
exactly. Right as soon as I get back, the next day, Syracuse has probably one of their biggest wins of the season, like beating UNC 72-70. And then following it up after that on Wednesday, they beat Clemson to round out the regular season. It was senior night, correct, Bob?
Correct. Senior night, yeah.
So what seniors are we commemorating to start off this Syracuse segment?
3 head managers. Congrats to them. A couple of walk-ons. And then I don't know if we're commemorating any. They all can return. Barama Sidibe and Merrick Dolce can both return if they choose to do so. So that's the ball's in their court, as they say.
Yeah,
So big win for Syracuse against Clemson, beating them at the Dome 64-54. Hey, Scott, were you shocked after they beat UNC and Clemson? We've been waiting for this 2-0 week for a while, and for the first time we got it. And is this the best time that it's happening now?
Yeah, it was desperation time for the Orange, and they actually came through, surprisingly. It would have been nice to get all 3 wins this week. Georgia Tech on Saturday, that was a big old L. We watched that one at Tully's, and we got dominated down low. Syracuse did. It would have been a huge win for the resume. I thought they were pretty much done after that. Then they come back. The home court advantage. What are we, 13-1 at home this year? It makes no sense. There's no fans there. There shouldn't be this big of an advantage, but Syracuse beats North Carolina, take down Clemson. And they needed these wins, 2 quad 2 wins. So that gives us 4 quad 2 wins on the year. Also, NC State getting a little hot at the right time. Now we have a quad 1 win. Things are trending in the right direction for Syracuse. Definitely a shocker. I thought we were going to go 0-3 this week. So at least we're back in contention, back on the bubble, Pop.
Definitely back on the bubble. I mean, I think if they can win, definitely 2 games puts them right on the brink, if not in, if they win 2 games down in Greensboro in the ACC tournament. So they've given themselves a chance. They just have to, take advantage. Last year they played well down in Greensboro, beating North Carolina before COVID ended that, unfortunately. But, it's time to focus and try and get some clutch wins down the stretch.
That's a good point. I happened to miss these 2 games on Monday and Wednesday. I don't know where I was. Oh, yeah, I was working. I haven't been able to say that in almost a year. So I missed those 2 games. However, if you were to give a 2-sentence summary for both of those games, highlighting what went well for Cuse Pop, what would be 2 sentences for each game? So a total of 4 sentences to give me an idea of what I missed out.
I guess just Buddy played well in both games.
Buddy played well, period.
Yeah, that's one. And then Edwards helped out against UNC, which is a rarity to see a Syracuse big man play well against UNC.
Hey, Scott, what about you? What stuck out to you for the 2 wins? Obviously Edwards has stepped up immensely here. What is his stat line looking like? I think you have it. It's in 23 minutes, 7 points, 8 rebounds, and a block in the Georgia Tech game. And then on Monday, 24 minutes, 6 points, 8 rebounds, and a block. So is it just more he's getting the opportunities when presented?
Yeah, finally getting the minutes. I've been waiting for just any big guy to get more minutes. Sidibe was supposed to be the man down low. Obviously, terrible knee problems for him. It's sad to see. maybe he comes back for another year, but the knees are very concerning. And then Jesse Edwards, he was waiting there on the bench, the other 7-footer almost on the team. And he just only would get 5-10 minutes a game. When he came in, he didn't do much offensively, but just having a big body down there, one that can just contest shots, not necessarily block them, but at least scare defenders away, make them more difficult. Jesse Edwards does need better hands. I feel like a lot of rebounds are going in and out of his hands, but that being said, he still grabbed 8 against North Carolina. And Syracuse had no business winning that North Carolina game. I looked at the box score before the podcast, and watching the game, Syracuse got off to a hot start. Buddy Boeheim doing a great job hitting his threes. But we got out-rebounded, Syracuse did, 53-33.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I'm just surprised that we were able to somehow come away with the win. And Jesse Edwards, I guess, 8 rebounds. We needed all of them. And I'm glad he got the minutes. It's good to see. The other highlight, I would say, Kade Richmond, again, doing things without necessarily scoring. He didn't have his 2 best scoring nights, but against North Carolina especially, 9 assists, 4 steals. Girard did play really well in that Clemson game, so I do want to give a shout-out to him there. But Syracuse, back on the bubble, I can't say any more. The big man play is going to be huge because rebounding for Syracuse, it seems to be the difference in all of their games.
That's a good point, especially the fact that in that Georgia Tech game, I did remember Edwards never being able to control the ball. Like, that's just like a huge issue. How are you not going to get these rebounds, D boards? You're going to give them extra possessions. You're going to lose possessions on it, and it's just madness. Gang rebounding is the way to go. That's how some of these smaller teams have to do it. You got to get Guerrier, who is a bigger size for his position naturally, and then also Kade Richmond has a very long wingspan, so he can even get crash the glass a little bit. But the real question is, if the ACC tournament was happening in the Dome, would Syracuse win it? 13-1 at the Dome. What is it about being at the Dome that just allows these Cuse players to rock them? 13-1 is impressive. It's got to be one of the best home stretches you've ever seen as a Cuse fan, right?
I mean, not really, but it's impressive, I guess. Like mid-2000s.
This team winning going 13-1 at home?
That's fair, I guess. I don't know. I don't really care about home and away. I just care about winning and losing. They've had those teams in the early 2010s and the late 2000s that I think they had a couple years streak where they were undefeated at home in the Dome, certainly against non-Power 5 teams. They had like a 7 or 8 year streak. But, you know, I mean, it's impressive. They played nobody outside of the conference at home in the non-conference schedule. So they were going to win those games, and they did. But just I want to piggyback on Edwards just because, Anthony, you mentioned it. The big man play down the stretch is going to be huge. And, you know, I want to give Jim Boeheim a little bit of credit for playing him against Georgia Tech, mainly out of necessity, though. That was the only reason he played, because Merrick Dolezaj was in insane foul trouble early on. And then against North Carolina, he played because, once again, I think Dolezaj was in a little bit of foul trouble in the first half. He came in and played fairly decent, but he has to play against that height of UNC. And then against Clemson, he gets 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So it's, you know, I want to have faith down the stretch here and say that the big man play is going to change, but I really see no reason as to why it will change. I don't even think Kade Richmond will play down the stretch if the lineup is going well with Joe Girard on the floor. We saw it yesterday against Clemson. They were scoring well with Girard on the floor, but defensively they let Clemson climb back into that game a little bit at times, and you can see how they blew that home lead against Pitt when you were watching the Clemson game. You know, things just start to unravel a little bit, and if Alan Griffin isn't splashing everything he's throwing up there, he could have gone a little different against Clemson.
I think Boeheim doesn't want to play Kade or Jesse Edwards.
No, he doesn't.
And it is just forced in there. I'm hoping that he goes to them earlier. I know he's doing that with Kade now, which is nice. Every time Girard struggles in the beginning, immediately Kade comes in. I wish he would get a start just once. But Jesse Edwards, I think now, if Dolezaj even looks a little shaky out there, or he looks like he can't compete with some of the bigger guys, whether he's in foul trouble or not, I'm hoping that we will see Jesse Edwards. I think he's starting to trust him a little more. But yeah, the Clemson one, it was confusing. Only 4 minutes, but we kind of controlled that one from start to finish.
So the battle of the Orange, Clemson-Syracuse ends in a draw, 1-1.
Correct.
Hey,
Scott, 13-1 at home. Would Cuse win the tournament if it was at the Dome?
Yeah, I think they would. Sadly, it is not at home, though. That's the problem. We got 13-1 at home. It's a great thing. That's the whole ACC. There's only one team in the ACC with a winning record on the road, and that's Virginia. And there's like 6 or 7 teams with only 1 loss at home. So it's a conference thing. I'm just confused why it's happening because there's no fans. You'd think that this would be the most even year. You'd really see teams separate themselves because there's no home court advantage every night, and it's just not happening.
Well, one thing that did stick out, including with Boeheim, beat reporter from The Athletic, Matthew Gutierrez, tweeted out Syracuse would be 17-5. What's their record right now?
15 or no, sorry.
15-8.
15-8.
So from 15-8 to 17-5, they would be 17-5 if Kadari and Jesse Edward played the minutes they deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you both agree with him.
Yeah, the thing is, like, Jim Boeheim called them out in the press conference, and he said that they'd be 22-2, which, yeah, that's a little over-exaggeration, but that's not what he said. He tweeted out 17-5, assuming 18-5, because he tweeted it out before the Clemson game. So a 3-game difference with Kadari and Jesse Edwards. I don't think it's too far off as a stretch. I would say the pick game may go different, I guess, but other than that, I don't know. It's been pretty clear-cut in Syracuse's wins and losses, which way they should go, I guess.
Yeah, there hasn't really been a lot of close, finishes towards the end. I would maybe say the Rutgers game. I'd throw that in there as well, which if they had that road win out of conference, that'd be a pretty nice win right now as they're trying to make the NCAA tournament. They've been out-rebounded by a bunch in most of their losses. Obviously, that UNC game where they just beat them recently has been the one exception where they were able to be out-rebounded. Syracuse was out-rebounded by 20 and still won the game. So I think maybe had Edwards gotten a little more minutes and been playing this active earlier on in the season and really, asserted himself kind of like he has in these glimpses that he's shown us the last few games, then I think maybe the record could look a little different. But for the most part, they are what they are.
Yeah,
Zay Scott, 17.
They call him out though. That's all. He also the guy's height. I mean,
we didn't even get into that yet. The quote is ridiculous. He's a moron and he's a terrible representation of the program. He really is. Like, why would you ever want to play for that guy? I mean, all on Twitter yesterday, you can look at all the Daily Orange alums that were all dealing with this stuff for years with him. And it's just ridiculous. Nobody cares. Nobody says anything in the local media. It's all fine. And they all honestly think it's funny. Like Mike Waters tweeting out, "Oh, I'm 5'11", so I think I'm good," which, it is, I guess that's a funny joke, I guess. But still, it's like this guy is just allowed to get away with whatever he wants to get away with. Right. It's crazy.
Pop, you got anything else to say about it? I mean, okay.
No, that was great. Leave
it. I trust me. I've seen it. We've seen it in front of ourselves the entire season. I think 17-5 would be in the tournament, right, Scott? According to Tony Brackett's.
We literally need 1 or 2 more wins. So yeah, give us 3 more. We're looking at a 7-6 seed, man.
All right. Well, that's why Boeheim gets paid the big bucks, not us. But moving along, 2 big wins for Syracuse. Scott, you kind of broke down quad 1 versus quad 2. This ACC seems like a mess, but Cuse now 1-6 versus quad 1 teams. That's obviously not great, but compared to all other teams, it's respectable. And then 4-1 against quad 2 teams. That screams to me 5-7. I mean, not terrible. I've seen worse.
Yeah. Looking at all the conferences, the Big 12 gets a lot of weight, like a 500 record with those teams that you're playing, the Baylors, the West Virginias. That's way more impressive than an ACC 500 record with these quad 1, quad 2 wins. So that's why Syracuse is right on the bubble. Along with them is Duke and Georgia Tech. I guess NC State's kind of sliding in there, but not really. Really between Duke, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse, I think Georgia Tech really sealed their position. And then now Duke and Syracuse kind of fighting for the last spot out of the ACC. Maybe they both get in. I don't see them leaving both of them out. The one thing that Syracuse has going for them is the 15-8 overall record. It looks a hell of a lot better than Duke's 11-10 record. But I could see maybe the Syracuse beating Duke in the ACC tournament, and then both Syracuse and Duke getting in, because I feel like the committee can't leave Duke out. But 11-11, if Duke finishes 11-11, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Hey Scott, right now, Tony Brackett's. What's your matchup of the first 4 in the tournament currently?
Yeah, my article on the challenge-sports.com break down all of the seeds, what I think projected. My newest article came out on Tuesday, so maybe it's switched a little bit from then. But on Tuesday, I had the last 4 in. I had Duke against, I think it was Indiana. And then I had UConn taking on Seton Hall. And I know Seton Hall probably will drop out because I think they just lost to UConn. I think they literally just played. I think UConn moves off the last 4 in, and then Seton Hall drops out. So a new team will be coming into my rankings next Tuesday, or probably Monday. Like on Monday.
Are we going to get into more bubble talk later on in the show, or is this when we're doing it? Just because I want to ask Tony Brackett's a question.
Go ahead.
All right, Tony Brackett, explain to me why. I know you're not Joe Lunardi, but please explain to me why he has Seton Hall, or not Seton Hall. He has St. Louis ahead of Syracuse in his pecking order for making the tournament. He has both teams out, but he has St. Louis in the first 4 out and Syracuse at the top of the next 4 out.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
I'm not sure when he updated it. I don't think the update has come since the Clemson North Carolina game. Maybe.
No, it was this morning's. I saw. He's off his rocker, dude. Somebody's got to tell him.
I'm here to tell him because St. Louis, I think they lost a couple games in the A10 recently.
Yeah.
I think they're 500 record in the A10 or one game above it. And Syracuse has 3 games over 500 ACC. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Well, check out Anthony's brackets at thechallenge-sports.com. Love that little plug. Also, yeah, Joe Lunardi, what are you doing with yourself? But
let me stop right there. I'm at 1% on my laptop. I do this every week. I'm a dumbass.
Perfect, though. Good catch.
Yeah. It's going to die. And the meeting's going to end, and we're not going to have this recorded. You should have ended the recording now. You better get this before it dies. Because I don't know if it'll save.
Definitely wouldn't.
Are we in?
We're in.
All right.
Oh, my God. It says 0%.
Just let it juice.
You guys are lagging, dude. Hold on.
Yeah, put the brightness down and let it get some juice.
All right. 1%. All right, we're out of the danger zone.
Nice.
I gotta check my stocks. Hold on.
Norman Powell, 14 FanDuel in the first quarter.
Terrible day today, Scott.
We don't want to talk about it at all.
Dennis Smith against the Knicks. We need him.
I just have been mad busy at work, so I haven't even been paying attention at all. And it just every time I look, I'm depressed. I might take my money out. Honestly.
No, all tech is terrible. It's gonna be probably a long recovery to get back to where we were, like months.
So should I just sell all tech?
I think it is gonna drop a little bit more. So I think you could sell and then buy back in. I mean, I think you should buy back in when it's done dropping, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at the NASDAQ's chart, which is like the tech index, it definitely has a little bit farther to fall. So I think all tech next week, same thing, and then we might be out of it. Once the stimmies hit.
It's going down.
Yeah, it's bad. Dude, I bought a TSM put. Did you see that? Did I send that to you?
Mm-mm.
I bought oh, my God. This is the most painful thing. I'm just going to send this to you before we begin.
Taiwanese, right?
Dude, yeah. So they're my bread and butter. I've been watching them. I had 15 shares, like 1,500 invested in them. And then fucking this shit starts happening. I've been watching it, and I was like, all right, it's going to drop all the way down to 117. Like, that was and then if it goes past that, then, 107. Like, it's going to be dangerous after that.
Mm.
So yesterday, I bought a put option, which means I want it to go down at that first circle that I just sent you. I don't know if you got the picture yet.
I just got it.
I'm looking at it right now.
So I bought a put option, meaning I want it to go down right there.
Yeah.
I'm watching it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's going up. I couldn't believe
sell it at the apex, literally.
And I was like, if it goes past 126, I'm out. Like, there's no reason this should be rising. But literally gets above 126 for about 10 minutes.
You're trash.
Ended the day, as you see, at 123. Finished at 122. Today, it's at 115.
Oh,
I would have made $1,500, dude.
That's why you're not a gambling man.
It's why I'm a pussy and I need to fucking grow a pair of balls and go in on these.
Yeah.
Need to grow some nuts. So I bought another put option in TSM today. And we're doing well on it. We're up $100, but
nice.
So we tried again. So now we're gonna go to 107. So
dude, that's insane. You should just put your stock money into a FanDuel optimizer, make an algorithm to make hundreds of thousands.
All right, we want to get back into it here.
Yeah, I'm ready.
As far as we can get before we have to start another
We'll
one.
probably just finish the top 25 and then go into the rest.
I think that's not a bad idea.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Obviously, a big 2 wins for Syracuse. Now moving on to the top 25. What a crazy year in the top 25. Honestly, even more so in the top 5. I feel like every single week we have a team that's unranked that moves all the way to the top 15, moves all the way to the top 10, loses a few, moves all the way out again, comes back in. It's all over the place, especially in this week's top 25. In this top 5 especially, we had Baylor lose, Michigan lost this week, and then also, what was the other one? There was one other team.
Iowa lost. Or no, not Iowa lost. Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
So much fluctuation. What's going on right now, in your opinion, in the top 25? Are we just like, should we not even worry about the top 25 this year?
Yeah, I don't think we need to really worry about the top 25. I mean, it really is just at this point, it's, just kind of a ranking for the regular season. That's all it is. It doesn't really gauge necessarily where the teams are going to end up come March with seeding. Plenty of times we'll see in a conference tournament, like say if, like a West Virginia maybe were to win the Big 12 tournament, they would maybe move up to like a 2 seed, well, as right now they're a 4 seed based on their ranking. So, it's just ebbs and flows, and it changes constantly.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, you're surprised to see Baylor lose?
Baylor losing was pretty shocking. I didn't think that would happen, honestly. I thought they would run the table, but that was before the COVID break. I think them coming back from that, we'll get into a little bit later, but it definitely shook them up a little bit, losing to Kansas. And then they had a close one against West Virginia, had a close one against Iowa State the week before. So a lot of close games for Baylor. Illinois is the surprise. They lost their best player, and they moved up, beating 2 very good opponents, which we'll get into as well in a second. Villanova, though, sliding a little bit. They struggled to hit a three-pointer. I believe it was Butler they were playing, that game that I bet on when you guys were over.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, they went 2 for 23 from 3 in that game.
Yep.
So Villanova looking like a streaky shooting team, maybe a little bit like Alabama with all those guards and not that much of big man play, but they do have a great big man in Robinson Earl. But yeah, they definitely threw a little concern my way losing this week to Butler.
I will say, though, that Villanova did beat Creighton yesterday. They were 10th. They beat the 14th best team in Creighton. Maybe that's good times to come. But, yeah, I agree. The streakiness is a problem. You got James Robinson Earl, who's like a really athletic player that would be able to get around anybody in college basketball. You need to feed him. And then just, like, create offense organically that way. I think with a squad like Villanova, the pedigree, everyone talks about the pedigree, but we're a few years removed from that now. I know that Gillespie – and Earl were like freshmen on that team, or maybe even not freshmen, but we're a little removed from that, so they need to build a new identity.
Yeah. One team I do want to ask you guys about that we haven't really talked about on this show is Arkansas, and just how they've been playing recently. They're all the way up to number 12 in the rankings. They've won 6-7 straight right now against some good opponents, beating Missouri, Florida, Alabama. They recently beat LSU. They have a great freshman in Moody. Not sure his first name, but Moody's the last name. And
Moses
Moody, yeah, freshman, averaging, I think, like 18 points a game. So I like this Arkansas team, and their team that's just kind of sneaking up there that we haven't really touched on yet.
No, that's a good point. Arkansas, the second highest jump of the week, the highest being Oklahoma State, which we will also discuss later down the road. But, yeah, Arkansas, looking impressive against SEC. Is this another example where Bama gets hot and they get to the top 10? And now you got an Arkansas team getting hot, and now they just beating up on each other. I could see it that being that case, but they do have a projected lottery pick in that player, that freshman, and he's balling right now. Yeah. So that's all you need.
Arkansas also has a player in Justin Smith, a power forward, who they are 2-4 in games without him this year. So if down the line you see that he is injured, they're 20-5 on the season. So they're doing pretty good when he's playing, but when he's injured, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Biggest fall. You had Oklahoma State had the biggest surge, and now you have Oklahoma dropping from number 7 to number 16. A pretty hefty drop for Oklahoma. I know they lost to Oklahoma State with Kade Cunningham going ballistic, and then I think they lost a close one to Texas Tech, was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
So big drop for Oklahoma. The Big 12 beating up on each other too. I mean, it's every week seems like another top 10, top 25 team from the Big 12 is dropping.
It wasn't Texas Tech. It was Kansas State. So a way worse than Texas Tech.
Got it.
That is why they have the nine position drop there. But yeah, that's not a good look. Yeah, all these conferences, they just beat up on each other. But yeah, the top 25 in relation to the tournament, it definitely just favors a good record over like who you beat. Like you see San Diego State as a top 20 team, like they're not going to get a 5 seed in the tournament or a 6 seed, whoever that would be.
True. Speaking of teams that have entered the top 25, we have Colorado, a Pac-12 sighting. We rarely see those. And then we have Purdue making their way back in, another Big Ten team. I think that rounds it up to 10 Big Ten teams in the top 20. No, maybe like 7 top 25 Big Ten teams. A lot of Big Ten teams. Falling out of the top 25, we got USC. So obviously Pac-12 can't have everything. So they have to take out a top 25 team after USC, who did win yesterday by 40 when A. Scott took Stanford +8, albeit. And then you got Missouri and then Tennessee, 2 SEC teams falling out as well. Kind of speaks to what that conference been like, very streaky. 2 teams that we talk a lot about are Tennessee and Missouri, and usually those conversations don't go well. So
I would just like to thank the voters for finally realizing that Tennessee is extremely fraudulent and getting them out of the top 25. That being said, I guess I would have liked to see them stay in the top 25 because then people are going to pencil them in on deep runs in their brackets, so that could help us. But Tennessee is fraudulent. Fade Tennessee.
Are you banking they lose their first game of the NCAA tournament? Is that where you're putting your – would you guarantee that? A big capital G guarantee for top?
It's a lock that they lose their first game. Yeah. I could see them playing Belmont, like a sneaky team like Belmont, in-state rival, and they're just going to drop that game.
That would be a matchup that the committee's going to want to put together. But Tennessee, honestly, they're probably going to fall even further right now. They've just been losing. So that makes the first game even harder. Yeah, I don't like Tennessee at all.
All right, we're all out on Tennessee. But moving back to another pivotal storyline from this week, A. Scott, we touched on it. Baylor, first loss of the season, losing at Kansas by 13. They backed it up on a win on Tuesday against West Virginia in overtime. But you mentioned it, COVID. It wouldn't be a season without COVID. How is this affecting Baylor? Does this screw their season up, or will they actually have time to get this right?
I think Baylor has time. The win against West Virginia was an impressive win. That was an amazing game, back and forth. Great action down the stretch. It wasn't one of those 10-minute review type games. I think there was one long review at the end and not many fouls either. These teams were just hitting shots back and forth. I think it shows the strength of the Big 12 at the top and especially Baylor and West Virginia. The one thing that I did notice a little bit, I feel like Baylor's losing that defensive intensity at the top of with the guard play. I think in the beginning of the season, they were turning teams over a lot. I mean, yeah, Miles McBride is the real deal at West Virginia. That's probably why their defense didn't look as good. But I think that Baylor's defense intensity needs to pick up a little bit. Besides that, though, this team's number 1 in three-point shooting percentage. They're always going to be around. They're going to be hitting their threes. Jared Butler's a monster. Not too worried, but definitely I don't think they're as dominant as they once were.
Yeah, I mean, they have the 3-week COVID layoff where reportedly 8 players had the virus. So obviously that's a huge deal and could, affect some of these guys down the stretch. That might speak to your point about their defensive intensity being down if they're a little fatigued out there and not as revved up on the defensive side of the ball. To me, a lot of that game came down to West Virginia really kind of melting down the stretch. They had the lead late and kind of just – it felt like they were in control of the game despite the fact that Baylor was keeping it close. They finally grabbed that 2-point lead in overtime and just fumbled the ball out of bounds after Baylor missed a shot. Baylor comes right down and hits a 3 and takes the lead, and then they're chasing points, and that doesn't go well late in overtime. So not a lot of fouls. Horrendous offensive foul call on Deuce McBride down the stretch. I'm just going to point that out. It was awful. One of the worst calls I've seen all year. But, that being said, Baylor looks like they have gotten back on track. They're taking on Oklahoma State right now, beating them pretty handily in the first half.
Yeah, that spread on that game also was a 12-point spread. And I was like, how? Yeah. Oklahoma State's been on fire. Just proves what Vegas knows. Baylor's already blowing them out. What is it, halftime right now?
I'm on Oklahoma State.
I'm sorry. I thought about it because I was going out about my day, and I was like, who am I going to bet on tonight? And I looked at the line. I see Oklahoma. I was going into it thinking I'm going to bet Baylor. I'm thinking it's going to be a blowout. Then I see the 12-point spread. I was like, are you kidding me, Vegas? Yep. You know it's going to be a blowout too?
Baylor up 11 at the under 4 in the first half currently.
There you go.
So we'll see how it goes.
One guy I do want to point out he's kind of like a Draymond Green type of player, Lucas, is Mark Vital on Baylor. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6", but he plays the big man position, just grinds it
Yeah,
out.
I've seen him. Yeah,
Severely
he's huge.
undersized.
I think he plays football too, if I'm not
He's a
mistaken.
beast.
Yeah. No, if you're 6'6" and have a little bit of a handle, but is like 250, you might find your way into the league a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he would make a good tight end. Rico Gathers action, former Baylor stud big man who has also played for the Cowboys, I believe, in the NFL for a few seasons.
And the greatest tight end, Tony Gonzalez, Calvin great, also big hooper.
Go Chargers.
Lucas, I got to ask, out of the Big 12 teams, is Baylor still your favorite? I think they're still my favorite. Maybe West Virginia, but I like Baylor.
No, I like Baylor still. They dropped 94 in overtime. With an overtime, they can just score at will. They have so many bodies. They can just get to the rack. They have clutch shooting. It was humbling that they lost, and I think they're going to bounce back and go through this stretch, but it'll make them tougher to beat for sure.
Mm-hmm. You like your West Virginia, Papi? I guess in a neutral court, you taking your Mountaineers?
I mean, I think it's going to be a close game no matter what. These two teams playing each other, especially on a neutral court. I really thought West Virginia was kind of in control of that game, but they came up on the short end. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that these are two very good teams, and it'd be awesome to see them in March.
I guess we talked a lot about the Baylor-West Virginia game and kind of steered away from the game they actually lost. But Kansas on the hot streak right now. Are they in your plans for March, Papi? I know you've been a hater on them.
I mean, I haven't been, too high on Kansas all year. That being said, I'm sure there is talent on the team. I've been really frustrated by Abaji, their small forward. I thought he was primed for a big season for them, and he's kind of let them down. If he can turn it on down the stretch, I think that would really help them moving forward. And, Bill Self team's always going to get better at the end of the season. His teams traditionally perform pretty well in March, at least getting to, the Sweet 16 Elite 8. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them there, but it just depends on who they draw in the bracket,
Like we mentioned, Baylor currently taking on Oklahoma State. We're recording this on Thursday. New podcast of Kade Cunningham every Friday where you get your podcast. But Baylor right now is taking on Oklahoma State, as we mentioned. And that leads us to our player of the week, Oklahoma State freshman Kade Cunningham, the number 2 high school recruit for this year. And he's proven why, especially this past week. Put up 40 against Oklahoma. Really did it all, does it all every game for Oklahoma State. Lucas, Kade Cunningham, I feel like you got to love this type of player going in the NBA.
He has every tool that you could imagine at this point in his life. I think that going to a school like Oklahoma State, it's like when a player like Anthony Edwards goes to Georgia or Colin Sexton goes to Bama. They go to these teams that never really had that it guy. I guess for the last great Oklahoma State basketball player was Marcus Smart, who did fight a fan, but we won't talk about that. But it allows a player like a Kade Cunningham to run the show. That's why I also think it's going to be hard to debate Jalen Suggs versus Kade Cunningham when it comes down the line. But you can't, the 40 piece is incredible. Can do it all, score at will. And around the right talent, he can be a good floor general, I think, too.
Yeah, I'm completely sold on Kade Cunningham, honestly. I'm all in, at least at the college level. At the next level, I think it's going to be a little bit of a developmental the first couple seasons. But that being said, I still think he can come in and start and be a similar player to Anthony Edwards, honestly. I think they kind of have similar style games. The one thing that I really like about Kade Cunningham is his ability to get to the rim off the dribble. He's incredible at driving downhill and attacking the basket. And when he does that, he's shooting 85.4% from the free throw line this year. So if you're going to be doing that, getting at to the free throw line at the rate that he does, you're going to score a lot of points. And really that's why you're seeing him average close to 20 points a game, is he's so good at getting to the free throw line and knocking those down.
Yeah, on the season, 19.5 points a game, really shooting the ball well from all over the field, 45% from the field, 39% from three. So, all the metrics are really there in college. The question is, will the game immediately transfer over? I think he may struggle a little bit in the beginning because there is that transitional period. And I have seen some games where his shooting has been off and he's really struggled from the field. But they have to just remember, this kid's going to be 18, 19-year-olds coming into the league. give him a few years because he definitely has all the tools to be an all-star, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Moving over, Kade Cunningham's team, they've been on a roll as well. Oklahoma State, we kind of talked about them with Baylor. They've won 5 straight, including 2 wins in a row against Oklahoma. That's why they had that huge jump in the rankings. And in my bracket, they went from a 5 seed all the way up to a 3 seed, kind of sniffing at the 2 seed level even. They have big games coming up against Baylor and West Virginia, huge stretch down the road. Can Kade Cunningham actually carry the Cowboys to a deep run in March?
I think he's the kind of player that can. Really, I really think that this is the kind of player who can come out and lead you straight to the Sweet 16, and then who knows from where from there, excuse me. Isaac Likely, their point guard right now, is a really physical kind of point guard. He plays a different style of basketball. He's down there rebounding, mixing it up a lot, but he brings the ball up for them at the same time. He's injured right now, so they'll need to get him back, but it doesn't appear to be anything serious. And then the Boon Twins, 2 really good players. The big man, Caleb, I believe, is that twin. He can really score the basketball down low. And when he scores 17 points per game, there's a stat that they're also like extreme. Their record is very good, like 8-0 or something like that, 17 or more points a game. So they have a lot of guys that can fill it up. And, yeah, I think they're a dangerous team. I like the defensive intensity that their head coach, Mike Boynton, brings.
Already off to a bad start against Baylor, but this is obviously their biggest test of the year here down the stretch.
But that's only because I bet on them.
Baylor and West Virginia are their final 2 games to close it out. Lucas, will we get to see Oklahoma State's true colors here in these last 2 games?
I think this is just a situation where they're going to lose these next 2 games, maybe fizzle out in the Big 12 tournament. Everyone's going to forget about them, and then they're going to get hot again. That's the classic scenario. When you see Kade Cunningham, a primetime player, like Dick Vitale would say, you need to get him on the screen. So he's going to be much-watched television, and he could be John Moran. He could win the first-round game and then lose in the second. I could see that happening as well.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, they play in the best conference in my mind, the Big 12, especially near the top. They're really proving themselves. They're in 4th place in the conference right now, and they did not start out that way. So great turnaround for them. They really only have – the only knock on them is they have 2 losses to TCU. And sadly, the one game I actually watched from start to finish was one of those TCU games. So I'm not too impressed with the Oklahoma State team that I've seen so far. I got to watch more of them. Kade Cunningham is must-watch TV. And a lot of these guys on this Oklahoma State team shoot the ball very well. Mm-hmm. They have 5 guys that shoot the ball over 45% from the field, and they're their top 5 scorers. So very efficient offensively. It's a lot of teams in the Big 12 are kind of like that, and they're going to be exciting down the stretch. Oklahoma State, though, Papi, you thought they were banned from the NCAA tournament when the season started. Oklahoma State they had sanctions come down on them because an assistant coach was basically given money to lead players to certain agents and financial advisors. That assistant coach was fired. He actually went to jail for that. But Oklahoma State appealed the suspension, and the NCAA is not ruling on that. Papi, are you a little salty that they may take a spot away from Syracuse when it comes down to the bubble?
I'm not so salty about, the Syracuse issue this year. I'm more salty about Syracuse issues in the past where they've gotten penalized themselves for, probably far less severe actions. That doesn't sound too bad in my mind. I mean, I guess the guy did end up in jail. So somewhere along the line he went wrong. There's no doubt about that. But, Syracuse in the past has had players working at the local YMCA basketball camps, and they go on probation for a year. And it's just kind of like, that doesn't make sense to me. North Carolina's forging classes for their players to take. But, Oklahoma State, Kade Cunningham, like you said, he's a PT peer. He's a primetime guy, a must-see guy, and the NCAA is going to do all they can to get him in there. I'm just more shocked at the fact that, they're taking this long to do it. It's been a year. The appeals process doesn't normally take this long.
Lucas, you said that Kade Cunningham's one of those guys like a Michael Porter Jr. went to Missouri. The lower name schools, Anthony Edwards, Georgia. How big is this that they're going to be able to play in the NCAA tournament, it looks like, for Oklahoma State with their obviously once-in-a-lifetime recruit?
Oh, yeah, this is why he came here. Like, it's for these opportunities, for these developments. Big 12, like you mentioned, is the best conference in the country this year, arguably. You can't beat that, and you're going against really good competition. And, imagine if there were fans. It'd be rocking even more if fans could attend. But Kade Cunningham is that player. Going back to, Kade Cunningham a little bit, that's why this debate, there's really three good players going into the draft that people are talking about. It's Jalen Suggs, Kade Cunningham, and Evan Mobley. Two of them have been our player of the weeks, which is great. But it's those three, and they all fit a different system. Kade Cunningham, all-around athlete, can do it by himself. Jalen Suggs, his peak is going to be around good players. And then Evan Mobley is like DeAndre Ayton, James Wiseman 2.0. So take your picking, and that's why Kade Cunningham, if he keeps impressing and he keeps making a deep run for Oklahoma State, if they do get there, his stock can only go up.
Exactly, yeah. The NCAA tournament, we've seen it before. Guys' stocks just skyrocket. It's not crazy to say that a deep run for Oklahoma State with him chopping could mean the number one overall pick, honestly. Difference of millions of dollars.
Who would you guys say is the highest stock riser because of the NCAA tournament? Because I have one guy that I always think of in my mind, and that's R.J. Hunter. R.J. Hunter was picked in the first round of the NBA draft.
I know what Anthony's is going to be.
Well, I mean, Steph Curry.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Malachi.
Yeah, Malachi's that's a good one. It's an obvious one, but I think Steph Curry too. Just that run, I don't think he deserved to go 6.
Well, Adam Morrison.
Yeah, exactly. Adam Morrison too, but yeah, no, Steph's run. I don't know how high he was going to go before that run, but like the 6th pick is crazy for a guy out of Davidson.
Yeah.
Well, he proved it, but like
exactly. He was never on TV till the tournament.
I see what you're saying. The biggest riser from the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, Malachi definitely. Agree.
Like nobody knew who R.J. Hunter was before those games that they won.
That's a good point.
There's no way.
Did they even win 2 games?
I think they won 2. They definitely won 1, obviously.
Yeah, the first one was crazy.
Yeah.
The coach falling out of the chair. It was a great scene. But moving over to the Big Ten, another team that's been on the rise, talking about some hot teams, Oklahoma State, another team dressed in that orange, not Syracuse, sadly, but the Illinois Fighting Illini have been scorching hot without Ayu Dosunmu, out with a facial injury, they're calling it. Should be back in time for the NCAA tournament, but without him, probably their 2 best wins in a while. On the road against Wisconsin, and then on the road against Michigan. Absolutely obliterated Michigan by 23. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Lucas, you said this is the most talented team maybe in the Big Ten. Without Ayu Dosunmu, are they maybe even better? I feel like that's stupid to say, but these are some crazy wins.
I think it just certifies my point even more. Like, you have a team like Illinois who has actually, before Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn, they had some talent beforehand, and just adding those two made them better. I think let's not forget that Wisconsin nearly came back and beat Illinois. Brendan Trice, what's his first name? Trice? Demetric Trice nearly went 20 straight to come back and beat Illinois. So I think that was more impressive than Michigan beating Michigan, because they had to hold on to that one on the road. But you're right. Beating Michigan is no joke. Really impressive win for them. Dosunmu coming back now, and maybe don't even play him until the Big 10 tournament, even after that. Wait, rest him to the NCAA tournament. Make sure he's 100% ready to go. So you got all your guys going for – you're going to get a top 3 seed now.
Yeah. I'm glad that you shouted out Demetric Trice, because those that did not watch that Illinois-Wisconsin game missed the greatest individual performance of almost willing your team to victory I've seen in a long time. It was Buddy Hield, Sacramento Kings versus Timberwolves, 22-point comeback-esque from last year that I bet on. It was wild. He was just coming down, pulling up, didn't care who was in front of him, knocking it down. But Illinois, able to get it done. Papi, 1 seed for this Illinois team.
Yeah, I believe Trice scored 19 straight in the last 2:45 of the game or something like that. It was insane. Illinois right now, they have to be penciled in on the 1 seed, right? I mean, 10 out of their last 11 in that conference especially is no joke. Obviously, we're talking about this hot stretch that they've had without AO, but 10 out of their last 11 in general is, they're a hot team at the right time right now. And I think, them not having Dosunmu might help them in the tournament when he does come back, just because they can find out what they really have in other positions. I think Cockburn is a star down low. I really think that if they wanted to give him the ball every time, he's going to either get fouled or he may commit an offensive foul, but that's not going to happen every time, or he's going to score every single time. Those are the only 3 options. And then going from there, you got Andre Curbelo, who's a true freshman point guard that's extremely talented and a true floor general type. And he really helped them out in these 2 games against Michigan and Wisconsin. And, Trent Frazier, the senior shooter, they just have a lot of pieces come March that, I wouldn't want to play them in the NCAA tournament, especially with a healthy Dosunmu. They can score at will, and their defense seems to be getting a little better.
You ready for this? how about that? They're a way better, a way more advanced Georgia Tech.
I could see that. Yeah.
Kofi
I like the
Cockburn's just
comparison.
a larger version of Moses Wright. Curbelo maybe a little bit better than Alvarado. Obviously, Ayo Dosunmu a little bit better than DeVoe. They're a dangerous team, though, and they definitely check all the boxes. Cockburn is going to be Andre Drummond. I'm convinced. He's the next Drummond, which is crazy to say, but he's a beast. They are a 1 seed in my bracket right now. They're probably the hottest team in basketball besides Gonzaga, one of the few teams in the top 10 that didn't lose this past week besides Gonzaga at the top. Any last thoughts about the Big Ten before we get into some upcoming games this weekend?
Last thought about the Big Ten is just Sparty and Tom Izzo are on the rise a little bit here every year. You know, this year I really didn't think that they were going to be playing come March Madness, but I think they have a real chance to make the tournament now. Huge win over Ohio State the other day.
Rocket Watts, he might make an appearance, Lucas.
I would love that. Absolutely.
It's not even him though. It's like the Henry guy and Jeremy Linford are balling out right now. It's crazy. Yeah, they're hot. They definitely have snuck up there. Maryland's also looking good. Big Ten's going to have probably 10, maybe even like 11 teams in the tournament, which is crazy. Moving over to this weekend, though, some big games, as always, starting off in the Big 12. Don't have the lines for you, so we can't give any real picks. But we'll just give what our thoughts on the game heading into the weekend. Number 17, Oklahoma State, who we've talked about extensively this week, on the road against West Virginia, their last game of the season. It's at 2 o'clock. Miles McBride, he's a little salty after that Baylor loss. I think they come out. They get the job done against Kade Cunningham and company.
I mean, 2 player of the weeks again, Miles McBride versus Kade Cunningham, the battle of the player of the weeks. I'm going to go with the more veteran one of Miles McBride. I think West Virginia is going to get it done. I'm expecting them to be favored by about, I'll guess the line, I'm going to say 5.5. I think it's going to be around there. West Virginia, bad loss to Baylor, like Pop mentioned. They had control of that game, scoring at will. And, hey, I mean, maybe Bob Huggins can point out the formula to beat Oklahoma State and just double-teaming Kade Cunningham the whole time and see if the other teammates can beat him.
Yeah. I feel like we talk about a West Virginia game every single week as one of the games we preview. And mainly, I don't know if that's because of my influence partly, but I love watching them play. I really think that they are like a very good college basketball team to watch play, especially offensively. They just execute at a high level. But the unfortunate part about West Virginia is I've come to realize they really can't guard elite offensive teams at all. And that being said, I really think that this can be a tough matchup with Cade potentially going downhill. You know, they have Derek Culver, but he's not much of a rim protector in my mind. He's more of a threat on the offensive side of the ball as a big man. Oscar Tshiebwe was much more of a rim protector for West Virginia. So I think if Cunningham gets going downhill and they're not able to contain him, this could be a tough game for them to win. I think it's going to be really close. I would probably be inclined to take Oklahoma State with the points, truthfully, if it was 5.5. I think it'll be more like 3.5, but either way, it's going to be a close game in my opinion. But I think Cunningham's going to have a big day against them.
That's crazy. You said 3.5 because before Lucas even gave his prediction, I was thinking 4.5 in my head. So we're all right around that area. How about Oklahoma State's end of the season schedule, though? Baylor, then right into West Virginia. Illinois kind of has the same deal. They just went from Michigan, and now this Saturday they're taking on Ohio State. So 2 of the top 4 teams in the Big Ten they have to play. Already beat Michigan on the road. Now they go to, I think, Columbus. Is Ohio State in Columbus?
Yep.
Columbus, got that right. Going into Columbus, taking on Ohio State. Papi, your thoughts?
This is going to be an interesting game. Obviously, Illinois is, really rolling right now. It's really polar opposites. Illinois coming in incredibly hot, and Ohio State kind of on the other side of the ball, not playing that well recently. Dwayne Washington, his health, I know he's had an ankle injury down the stretch, and Kyle Young, it really comes down to that for me. If those 2 guys play, they won in Illinois earlier in the season by a good margin, I believe. So I think Ohio State would probably run it back if there's no Dosunmu for the Illini.
Lucas?
I think this could be interesting. Hear my logic. I think that if Dosunmu comes back, they lose because they're in a good groove right now. There's no reason for him to be playing. It's a little premature. But if Dosunmu doesn't play, take Ohio State because of the fact that they're in a nice groove right now without Dosunmu, and they should just shelf him till the tournament starts. Does that make any sense?
I honestly, I think that he should come back in the Big Ten, try and get it going a little bit in the Big Ten. If they lose the first one, then you take what you see, learn from it. But, yeah, I don't think he should play in this last one.
Got it.
I agree with that. I see your logic there, Lucas. I agree with that.
Because it doesn't make sense. Like, they have
no
such
need
a good
to mess
group.
with something good. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you're in a good groove right now. You just beat the top 3 team in the country without the guy. Let the other players continue to get their confidence up until the big dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a fantastic game. I'm excited to watch it. I'll be tuned in.
No one's going to slander Illinois for losing to Ohio State without the Sumu, but people are going to be like, oh, they had the Sumu and then lost to Ohio State. You'd rather just less drama, the better.
Exactly, and I think Ohio State, they know they're reeling right now. They need to get back on course. I feel like they're going to come back, take advantage of IU being out. I'll take Ohio State in this one, but I think it's going to be a close game, high scoring. It'll be exciting to watch. Then our last game of the week, Saturday night, or 4 o'clock, still in the afternoon. This is kind of just like a bubble game I threw in there. Big game for Louisville. Number 21, Virginia, on the road against Louisville. Had to throw an ACC game in there. Louisville's still searching, I believe, for their first quad 1 win. I don't even know if Virginia's in. Oh, no, they have 1 quad 1 win. So Virginia does need another big win, though, any way you look at it. Will they get it done against Virginia?
How tall is Louisville's point guard?
I don't think he's that tall. Carlick Jones?
6 foot, 6'2", maybe?
Yeah.
Give me UVA. I need like a 6'3" point guard that can just body Kihei Clark. So I'm going to go UVA.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I would just take the home team, but Virginia's actually the only team in the ACC that has a winning record. So I guess I'll take Virginia. The stifling defense, I don't think Louisville's that good personally. I wish Syracuse got to play them. Sadly, both of their games against them got canceled. Didn't give us a chance at another quad 1, quad 2 win. I got Virginia in this one.
I also like Virginia in this one, honestly. Malik Williams, the big man for Louisville, was hurt coming into the season. Tried to come back and play the last couple weeks, re-injured his knee. He's done for the year. It's really tough blow for them. And I think Jay Huff and, Sam Hauser, not Joey Hauser, are going to have their way down low a little bit against Louisville, who seems to struggle against good big men.
Mm-hmm. Moving over to our one last thing. Couldn't let you go without our one last thing. Going to be an exciting week of college basketball, but it's also going to be an exciting week for the NBA. The All-Star game coming up this weekend. The dunk contest, the three-point contest, the skills competition, they're all going to be out there. We got some prop bets for you to end our show. I guess we'll start with the skills competition. We'll work our way up. A bunch of guys out here that have been in it before. Luka's in it, Sabonis, CP3, those are your favorites. Papi, I know you love your Chris Paul. He's the point guard.
He is the point guard, but honestly, I don't love the value there at plus 225. Too much of a favorite there for me. So I'm looking at a guy like Robert Covington, and I don't know why I'm looking at Robert Covington, but at plus 500, he's just a random enough name that I could see him coming away with a win in the skills competition.
If you rank these players, there are 5 out of the 6 of these are all-stars. One of them is not. And that's Covington. Why is he in this list?
He's coming there to win and then get out of there. That's all he's doing.
He's banking on himself.
Yeah.
One person that I'm looking for, give me Vooch Daddy, Nikola Vucevic, plus 650. These big men, somehow, so the bracket, how it goes is like you go against, it's like a guard versus a forward. So you go against, it's like big man versus guards. And I think if Vucevic can just get lucky and beat one of those guys, one of the point guards, and just make it to the next round, he can make the three. That's like the biggest part. If you can hit your threes, you can make it. That's why I was thinking about Randall, but he can't hit that three consistently. Vucevic can hit threes.
Yeah, it comes down to the three-point shot and the bounce pass, I think, is pretty tough
Ooh,
for you guys.
True.
I don't think CP3, I think he's going to struggle at the three-point shot. I think Sabonis checks all the boxes. I love Sabonis. I got him on my fantasy team that I don't pay attention to, but we're going to take Sabonis plus 400. Moving over to the three-point competition, Lucas, do I even have to ask? Your guy Curry's in it. I mean, he's the favorite plus 190, but you locking him in?
I know. I mean, he's definitely going to be one of my bets. That's 1,000. Like, I'm definitely going to throw a little money, a sprinkle some on some stuff, but a dark horse that I love, I mean, Devin Booker at plus 500. Like LeBron said, the most disrespected man in the league. How is he not favored? One of the favorites to win this. I like him more than Mitchell. I like him maybe even more than Levine. So, I mean, at plus 500 with Booker, book it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, plus 500 for Booker also. Like, that seems pretty juicy to me, but
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I also could see a guy like Jaylen Brown, who's been shooting it well this year, maybe coming out of nowhere and tearing it up at plus 750.
Yeah. I think Steph Curry is the best practice shooter. The guy just doesn't miss when it's just warm up. So, sadly, I will be taking Steph Curry if I'm betting on it. But we're talking odds. Yeah, Devin Booker plus 500. I mean, come on. You're just asking me to throw 10 on it. Moving over to the dunk contest, which is interesting this year. The dunk contest will be taking place, I believe, at halftime of the All-Star game. Is that right?
I cannot speak to that, but that would be interesting.
Is that true?
I'm going to look it up right now, live on the podcast.
There's only 3 competitors, which is why I'm confused.
Yeah, there's only 3 competitors this year. I thought I read somewhere that it's only the contest is set for halftime. So the skills and three-point competition are actually during the pregame of the – so it's a one-night thing. Okay. I believe that's probably because of COVID. So you got the skills and three-point. Yeah. So you have the skills and the three-point before the game, first half of the game, then the dunk contest, then the second half of the game. In that dunk contest, a couple unknown guys, kind of, rookies, new players. You got Cassius Stanley, Obi Toppin, and Anthony Simons from Portland, New York, and I don't even know where Cassius Stanley's playing.
Indiana.
Yeah, the Pacers. All right. So Toppin is your favorite, 150. Anthony Simons plus 175. Cassius Stanley plus 200. Lucas, you said you weren't even sure if Simons could dunk.
He could definitely dunk, but yeah, I don't know what he's doing in this competition. I mean, you have like 2 6'3" guys. I think Cassius Stanley isn't even 6'3", versus Obi Toppin, who's 6'9", which is why he's the heavy favorite. Would be huge for the Knicks to have a guy have some representation. I know Randall's in the game, but having Toppin win it would be electric for New York City, considering that he's not really playing at all for New York. So it's just kind of like unwarranted buzz, like a Derrick Jones. Everyone's like, oh, Derrick Jones, like good player because he won a dunk contest. It could be the same thing for Obi Toppin, I think.
Yeah, I think Obi Toppin, sadly, is going to put on a terrible performance. I feel like the Knicks and their rookies, this is going to be classic Knicks, just shitting on their guy for doing terrible and something that really doesn't matter. Obi Toppin, I'm not going to take you. I guess I'll take Anthony Simons. I think he's a great player. I'm not sure about his dunking ability, but that being said, I guess we'll find out on Sunday.
To me, this is the one that I think is most obvious. I like Cassius Stanley here, honestly, at plus
200. He can rise. He can bang. He has hops.
He's kind of, that wing kind of player that wins this a lot of the times. I feel like it's guards and wing small forwards that win this. You don't see a lot of big men that come away with the dunk contest. I guess Aaron Gordon would be the exception, but I'm just urging these players. I know Lou will not be in attendance, but please stay out of Magic City Gentlemen's Club. It shut down the bubble last year. We don't need another outbreak in the NBA.
Yeah, I honestly don't even know when this dunk contest is. Is the All-Star game this weekend?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I'm looking it up, and it's saying February 13th. And I'm like,
so you're saying it already happened?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm just so confused with what I'm Googling. But, yeah, I believe it's this weekend.
Yeah. The impressive thing about Cassius Stanley is he soars in the air, so it's going to look more impressive for a guard who can just float in the air. But I think Obi Toppin comes in with some really just pounding the rim. It's a bad day to be a rim during the All-Star weekend.
Definitely a bad time to be a rim. I want to ask you guys a question. If you were a judge in the slam dunk contest, are you automatically not giving someone a 10 if they miss their first dunk attempt?
For sure.
Yes.
9 is the highest you can go if you miss your first one.
You would have to blow me away. You'd have to switch up the dunk attempt realistically.
Fair enough. The one thing I want to see, though, is if it comes down to a Levine and Aaron Gordon, which I don't think we'll ever get that kind of show again. But if you get into a show where you have 2 guys just getting 50 after 50 after 50, I think you just need to have them both go and just pick one. Why are we tying with 50? Just pick which one was better, I guess.
True. That's a good point. Yeah, just select who had the best dunk of the night.
Yeah, and then just move on. But that is all going on this weekend, we believe. Also going on this weekend is the start of championship week. The first automatic bids to the NCAA tournament will be handed out. I believe Belmont is actually first on the list. The Ohio Valley Conference is on Saturday. Belmont Bruins, you taking them to win the Ohio Valley Papi. It's got to happen, right?
It's a shoo-in every year. They're in the tournament every year. Nobody talks about them, really. Are they in the same conference as Murray State or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So they split every other year.
Morehead State's a sleeper though this year in that conference. Don't sleep. But so by the time next week rolls around, we'll have a bunch of tickets punched to the NCAA tournament. We'll have that all breakdown for you, and the bubble will be heating up. Next show next Friday. You don't want to miss it. Until then, have a good week, folks.
Peace.
I was waiting for the peace.
Wait, did we just not have a 40? Is that the whole time? I don't know what
I
happened.
don't know if you guys got the pop-up, but on my screen it popped up saying a gift. We've released your 40-minute time limit tonight.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
It said for me that the host has like added minutes, and I was like, damn. Hey,
Yeah.
Scott.
I'm not fucking around with this shit tonight.
Yeah. Hey, Scott wants it to be done with.
Dude, right now, FanDuel-wise, listen to this.
How are we looking?
All right, Dennis Smith 4
Trash.
and the second quarter just started. Not a great start, but Norman Powell 31 FanDuel at half. Norman Powell.
Wow.
Giannis
31.
12 FanDuel in the first 2 minutes. 12. He has 2 points. Giannis has 2 points, an assist, 2 rebounds, a steal, and a block in the first 2 minutes.
I lost. Emmanuel quickly is putting up 1 assist in the first quarter.
And Jokic already has a steal a minute into the game.
You took Jokic and Giannis again.
Yep.
Michael Porter Jr. off to a good start.
And I still have Wanamaker, Wiggins, Bledsoe, Bazemore, and Crowder.
That TJ McConnell night was special last night, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
You have
Only 1,600 out of 220K had TJ McConnell.
That's crazy.
And
One
he
guy-
had 9 steals and a half.
He had a triple-double.
Yeah. He should have had more. Dude, he should have tried to get rebounds. Like, he could have had a quadruple-double.
Oh, they took Jokic's steal away. Fuck.
Gave it to Michael Porter Jr. I literally had Michael Porter Jr. just got a steal out of nowhere.
Damn.
Michael Porter Jr. has 8 points in 2 minutes. Like 8 fans.
Damn.
This lineup has potential. All I have is Michael Porter Jr. and Giannis.
What's your highest projected? What's your highest projected right now?
I don't have projected, bro.
Dude, update your phone.
Guess what I took though? When instead of Bam, I shifted my whole lineup around. I got Brandon Ingram now instead of whoever was at small forward.
No Zion. You're welcome.
Ingram instead of Batum, and then I got Juan Toscano Anderson instead of Bam Adebayo. He's gonna play tonight, right? Without
Oh, he's gonna play. He's definitely gonna play. I also have I have Josh Hart and Bledsoe in the two that account. So
Bledsoe, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Bledsoe night.
Bane needs to get in, dude.
Bane, do you want to hear the? You don't want to hear.
Bane just scored.
You want to hear the lineup that's winning 100K right now?
Michael Porter Jr. 2 steals already. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's insane. Wait, it's loading. Who are your 10 PM guys?
Let's see.
Aaron Baines, 4,000 FanDuel, 16 FanDuel in the first half.
My 10 p.m. guys are De'Aaron Fox, Juan Toscano, and Enes Kanter.
What was the first one?
De'Aaron Fox.
That's nice. Boucher, 18 FanDuel, 16 points, 2 rebounds. They're beating they dropped 70 on the Celtics without half their team.
I thought about Boucher too.
Russ cooking again, 25 in the first half.
Instead, I had fucking Brandon Clark, who has 0.
Norman Powell's the pick of the night so far, I think.
Yeah, sounds like it. This is disheartening.
Dylan Brooks, 4 points, an assist, and a steal. We'll take that. Jokic needs to get on the board. Like, we just need something from him.
Yo, Kansas
Brooks.
right now, this is not a lie. Kansas at home is losing to UTEP 13-4.
Kansas?
Yeah, they're losing to 12-10 UTEP.
Wow. Pretty fun. They've scored 4 points in
4 points in 8 minutes.
8.5 minutes.
That's bad.
You know how my bets are doing.
Giannis 15 FanDuel in the first 6 minutes.
Absurd.
Dude, FanDuel had this boost on the golf tournament this weekend that was any American to win the tournament at plus 175. Like, how am I not betting on that?
For this weekend or last weekend?
Morikawa.
He's American.
I like it.
It's this weekend's tournament, though. I mean, of course, Rory's in the lead after day one because I bet on an American to win. But, like,
yeah.
You're literally first, Pop. I plan to take full advantage of these mid-major conference tournaments.
Do it, dude. Send me the parlays. Bet against bad mid-majors all week.
I'm betting against San Diego tonight, betting against Eastern Carolina, and
Have they started yet?
I'm also betting against Canisius, but I can't find that game.
Have these games started?
Well, the one that did start for me was Jacksonville State, and that's the one that I wasn't betting against a bad team. I was betting against Murray State. But Jacksonville State's up 2, and they were getting 3.5 points.
You're telling me to bet against San Diego, though?
Yeah. Trust. They're bad. And East Carolina's bad, but that game is a home game for East Carolina, so maybe stay away.
They beat Houston at home, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. But dude, look at UCF's schedule, please. Please.
It's difficult.
For their conference, they play Memphis twice, Houston twice, Wichita State twice, and then all the other games got canceled. Then their non-conference was just ridiculous. They played all the good teams only, it seemed like.
You're taking San Francisco then with the points?
No. I parlayed everything.
Oh.
Yeah, sadly. It's not
money line.
Yeah, Indiana's winning by 7.
I like Central Florida money line.
I do. They should win that game. Eastern Carolina coming off a long pause, too. I was thinking about sending a good amount on UCF, but then the home game scared me.
Did Canisius start? That must have started.
Yeah, Sienna's up 7. They were favored by 7, though.
Jokic -1.
I'm sorry.
Ew.
That's a dub. Or an L, I should say.
Facts. Unless he gets 80.
Turns it on right now.
7 straight.
Did Jokic in?
What?
How many lineups did you have Jokic in?
The 2 ones that I have eligible still.
Oh,
all right, though. I'm about to go play Rocket League. Get on, Scott.
Good luck. I'm going to I'll get on.
Hell yeah.
I'll get on. Fuck it.
Hey, Scott, let me know.
All right, boys.
If you want me to post, I'll catch you.
What should I let you know about?
If you want me to upload.
Oh, I'll probably take care of it late tonight because I don't even work tomorrow, so I'll probably edit it late.
I feel like you didn't have work at all this week.
Yeah, I didn't work yesterday. Today I worked. So listen to this real quick. I worked today. Log in at 9, and there's 2 posts you have to reply to. One to check in, and then one to ask for contacts. And I've never even seen this check-in post. I've always just logged on and just asked for contacts. So today I log on, and I see the post. I thought it was the ask for contacts post. So I just say, hey, I'm here till 5:30. I can take contacts whenever. And then 10 o'clock goes by, no contact. 11 o'clock, no contact. Noon, no. I'm what is going on right now? Do they know I'm here?
Why does that never happen?
No, and then 12:30 rolls around, and my boss is calling me. He's like, yeah, so why didn't you sign into the post today and ask for contacts? I did sign in the post. No, you checked in, but you didn't sign. I was like, there's 2 separate posts. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, well, I've always never even checked in, I guess. I've only even asked for contacts. He's like, oh, yeah, just sign into both now. And I guess you just wasted half your day, but it's whatever. I was like, all right.
Nice. We'll take that.
So, yeah, that's why I went hard on the fucking rundown because I have nothing to do.
Oh, hell yeah. Lit. All right, I'm going to make some dinner, but yeah, I'll catch you. I'll let you know how FanDuel's going.
Also, I'm sending your lineups to Lance as well.
I
told Lance about your heater, and he was like, dude, just send me his lineups. I'll just pick and choose from him.
Let's go. Lance is also a FanDuel king.
Yeah, I was like, do you still play FanDuel? He was like, a lineup every day, man. I was like, this guy.
All right, I'll catch you later.
All right, peace.
Peace.